A series of protests across London so far blocking Vauxhall, Lambeth and Tower bridges.
Now, the activists have vowed to block areas of London for as long as possible. Every day, they think, for at least a week.
Well, we can find out why. Extinction Rebellion protester Todd Smith joins us in the studio. Todd, you're in the studio. You haven't sort of today sat down in the middle of a road,
Not yet.
Causing significant disruption. The obvious question people are going to have from home is, this is inconveniencing me, not the politicians who might make change. Why?
I think in the context, like the UN General Secretary has said that climate activists are not dangerous radicals, but any government that continues to pursue new oil licenses are. So what we're looking at is by 2030, 700 million Africans being displaced. And, you know, that's just absolutely horrifying. And, you know, as a former airline pilot, someone that grew up in a working class family and spent my entire life trying to achieve that dream job, when I understood the enormity of this situation, and I felt absolutely compelled to get out on the streets and use our democratic right to protest to try and do something about it.
It's the way of doing it, though, because, I mean, partly, and this, I mean, it always goes up, so part of the argument would be if you stop people travelling so much over East, if you cause that disruption, well, that's solving part of the problem as far as Extinction Rebellion would be concerned, using less fuel. But the argument, you need to have people on side, don't you, to elicit any sort of real change. And the problem with these sort of actions is a lot of people would say, well, actually, it angers the general public.
Yeah, I'd really encourage people to come down to Hyde Park if they can on Saturday at 10 a.m, for instance, and meet us, because the overwhelming majority of the public that we're meeting on the streets are fully supportive of what we're doing. And ultimately, like, we're just asking the government to get off of fossil fuels. The Independent Energy Agency, the International Energy Agency are saying the same thing. So the United Nations, you know, we need to ban all new fossil fuel investments in this critical moment for humanity. So, yeah, it is, of course, it's going to, you know, be unpopular if it causes disruption, but the media are failing to report on it, and the reality is very different.
Can I just ask you, because it's, in a way, if we'd had this discussion 12 months ago, this wouldn't be a question. But it is, because of the crisis we're in at the moment, it is. And when we've got a very real gap to fill now. And I think just about everyone would say, yeah, renewables are great. I mean, it's a sensible way forward. But when we've got an energy gap and we need energy security at the moment, and the Russia problem is highlighting all of that, don't we have to fill that gap with something like shale gas?
I would say what's happening at the moment is the Ukrainian crisis is being exploited, and there's no public mandate for the government to double down on their fossil fuel addiction in this crisis. And ultimately, renewable energy is, as you say, the cheapest form and the quickest form of energy that could be rolled out. Obviously, insulating homes and many other things that the government are just completely failing to do. It just seems like they're intent on protecting the interests of their rich mates. And ultimately, this isn't a cost of living crisis, it's a cost of living scandal, because it is a political decision, and the same people making record profits from you know, the energy crisis right now are also the ones that are destroying life on Earth and you know, causing untold suffering to millions of people right now, let alone what's coming in the future. And one thing that really keeps me up at night is this additional risk of multiple breadbasket failure, where multiple bread crops can fail at the same time, and we won't see panic buying over toilet roll when there's no supply issue. This is a genuine food issue in our country, and yeah, we need to take action right now to secure a livable future. That's what the UN General Secretary is saying. It's not us. We're just here. You know, I glued myself to the road in Lambeth Bridge on Vauxhall roundabout, yesterday, and of course I don't want to get arrested. You know, I had a high-flying career, but, you know, we just need to do all that we can, and we need the people out in the streets. You know, we can't be bystanders anymore. We need to tell the government to get off of their addiction to fossil fuels.
You've made your presence known. Most people in the country now know of Extinction Rebellion. You've got millions of people who could be advocates for you, but the strategy you've taken has alienated so many of them. Why is it that you've taken that far more combative approach?
Obviously, we don't mean to alienate, and you know, the media do alienate us. So I would encourage people to, rather than just read about us, to come and meet us. And ultimately, civil resistance is completely justified in this moment. I've been diagnosed with eco-anxiety, but it just means that I care essentially, and you expect our leaders, our government, to also care to keep us safe. And they're in climate denial. They're literally going in the opposite direction. So it really, history shows us that, in a moment like this, the only thing we can do is take to the streets. And as we did in the past, we need everyone to come out on the streets now. We cannot be bystanders.
Can I just ask, I know this was the last big protest and not this one, but there's been a couple of years to reflect on it. It caused a lot of controversy last time round that someone like Emma Thompson came along and joined the protest, great publicity, flew in on a private jet to do it. Now, how, as someone who's passionate about all of this, how do you balance that out? Is that the right thing for her to have done, do you think?
We're all hypocrites. We've grown up in a system completely dependent on fossil fuels. We knew this science 30 years ago, and we've just been led down this garden path. In fact, of course, we need to be flying less, and individual actions make a difference. But the government will try and blame it on us as individuals, and really we need systemic change. We need strong leadership. We need a government that is not burying their heads in the sand and protecting the interests of their wealthy friends, whilst we can't afford to pay our energy bills, and we're looking at an uninhabitable planet. So yeah, we need systemic change, and I'm urging everyone to come and join us on Saturday 10 a.m. in Hyde Park.
Okay, Todd Smith, really good to see you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes.
I hope your hand's all right.
Yeah, I lost a little bit of skin, but all good now. So.
Okay, good to see you.